And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Rabbit Hunt from 2+ Games is a game that, if you look at it, ooh, look how cute the bunny looks. And even when I read the instructions, it says, the rabbits are ready to snatch away the carrots piled up inside, but these farmers cherish their own dear little pet bunnies, but they're furious with other players' bunnies. It sounds cutesy, but really, while kids can play it, it basically is a game for adults and kids. It's a game about bluffing, trying to trick the other players, trying to fool them. There's some luck in it. It's a lightish type game, but I found myself really enjoying how it played out. Let's take a look at it. Here's how the game begins. We have a farmyard with 4 farmers on it, and then fields around it. These fields are drawn from a stack of field cards that are placed next to the board, and they're placed in this crisscross pattern. Now I have to mention here that these cards, they really move around easily. You're supposed to put them in this off pattern here like this, but it doesn't seem like it works as well as I want it to, simply just because the cards turn over and we're constantly fixing them. When you turn over cards, it's really easy to mess up how the other players go. Each player also gets 3 cards that show their color rabbit. For example, these are the green rabbit cards, and you can see here the blue rabbit cards. You get 3 of these cards in your hand. You also add several of the field cards to your hand so players don't know what your hand is, although you have some field cards and you have some rabbit cards. They all have the same backs. Now, on your turn, you must take a card from your hand and place it so that it fits in the pattern. You can place cards in the pattern as long as they fit, and there's a way for a player to get to them. Then you have 2 different actions. What are the actions you can take? Well, for one action, you can take a carrot. You can see there's piles of carrots. You can take 1 carrot for an action. You could use the same action twice, take 2 carrots. Also, you can draw more cards from the pile. An action to draw each card. Then you can move your farmer. To move him 1 spot costs 1 carrot. You can pay 2 carrots and then move him 2 or 3 spots. Or you can pay 3 carrots and move him anywhere you want. You have a maximum of 6 carrots that you can have at any point in time. When you move onto a card, we turn it over, and whatever that card shows, that's what happens to you at that point in time. Now, what you're looking for is your opponent's rabbits. If you capture one of those, if you land one of those, it's captured. Another card is put out in its place, and you keep their rabbit. Ha, you stole their rabbit. If all 3 of your rabbits are captured, then you lose the game. Obviously, you're not going to want to put all your carrots out on the board then for other people to capture, but you're going to have a hard time keeping them in your hand, and several of these cards cause penalties for when you keep them in your hand. Let's take a look at some of the cards as you turn them over. This one, for example, it says that when this card is revealed, everyone has to show their hands, and if you have any rabbits in your hand, then you must discard all your carrots at that point. This card means nothing happens. This card gives you a couple carrots. This card here lets you draw 2 extra cards. This card here lets you put a card anywhere you want on the board. This card here ends your turn immediately when you land on that card, so you have to be careful. And so there's all different kinds of cards. I'm not showing you all of them, but there's different cards that you can have, and of course you're always on the lookout for other people's rabbits, because these are the cards that get it. If you find your own rabbit, you can put it back in your hand. So you're faced with a choice. Do I keep these rabbits in my hand, or do I put them on the board? The game continues until either everyone is eliminated because all their rabbits are gone, or if the draw pile is gone at that point. And then the winner is the person who has either gotten rid of all their own bunnies on the board. They have to have all their bunnies on the board to win. They must have caught the most bunnies of the other players. And if there's a tie for that, then if they have the least amount of bunnies of their own caught by other people. And there's a few more tiebreakers, but that's basically it. You can also spend carrots during the course of the game, 3 carrots to look at someone else's hand. But it's very simple, deciding where to put cards. You'll have a big farm field, but once you turn the card over, no one else can get the advantage of that card, or in some cases, disadvantage. So basically, you're trying to guess where your opponent has hidden their rabbits. Since you have to place a card out every turn, if you don't draw cards on your own turn, you're eventually going to be forced to put out your own rabbits. So the game could kind of be keep your rabbits in your hand to the end of the game. And that's what a lot of players do. However, there is a disadvantage to keeping rabbits in your own hand, because if you have those cards are drawn that make you show everyone else your cards, and if you have them, get rid of all your carrots, that can be kind of annoying. Of course, losing all 3 of your rabbits is annoying too. So when you put down a card, everyone knows it's not a rabbit. Or is it? And that's where the fun of the game is. The field's going to grow larger and larger as time goes by. People are going to want to move around. You watch where everyone else puts cards. That they just put one of their own rabbits down. Well, let me go see it. Or maybe it's one of those immediately end your turn cards. Something that's not so good for me. Or a blank empty field. Or did they put that card near themselves so that it's a good one that they can get? I like this. There's no super great strategy here. Take some carrots, take some cards, move around. But it works really well, and knowing when to put your cards down. The game reminds me a bit of Hera and Zeus, a Richard board game where you're trying to put down cards, or you have a winning card in your hand, but you don't want your opponent to capture it. And this feels a bit similar, but this is a lot lighter. My kids were able to play this without too much problem, although I would say that the 8+ age on the box is appropriate. But adults can have fun with it too, and it plays in about 20-30 minutes, so it's an excellent, fun little game with this rabbit hunt.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.